Yo guys, what's going on? Robert Warshak here, and we're going to be covering the most important cards to have come from the Witchwood and that we're losing when all of these cards rotate to the wild format when the new expansion Ashes of Atlan comes out. I was actually surprised when looking through all the Witchwood cards that this was a fairly low impact expansion. There wasn't a whole lot to come out of here, but the cards that did come out of here were very big. Just a quick note, Gen and Baku were actually part of this expansion. Maybe I'll edit them in there. They were a big part of this expansion and almost defined the entirety of the meta for as long as that they were around. They actually rotated early into Wild, which has never been done before, due to their power level and just overwhelming numbers that they were just seeing on ladder. I mean, it was almost every single deck was a Gen or Baku deck. Yeah, I'm glad they rotated early. But these are my picks for the cards that still are in the set and are still rotating. That's going to be Shudder. This was one of my least favorite cards at one time when Shudder Shaman was a thing, and they would play Shudder and they would just kill you in one turn because it copied all the battle cries twice, and they played the Life Drinker combos and the Return combos, and it was just miserable. I mean, this was a miserable deck to play against. I hated it so much. But Shudder in itself is a cool card. It's just the way it was used was very lame. Another one to come out was Hagath. This was a card that was actually seen quite a bit of when the expansion released and a short time after that, but since then kind of fizzled out because Shaman kind of fizzled out. You know, we don't really see a lot of control Shaman anymore. We saw Invoke Shaman or Galakron Shaman for a little bit until it got nerfed to the ground, and now that this card, you know, isn't as near as powerful as Galakron, it kind of doesn't see the light, but this at once was a very powerful card and was played almost in every Shaman deck, like I've mentioned. And yeah, it was definitely one of the eye catchers when going through these cards and seeing what was like important. And Shaman, you know, we had Shudder and Hagath. Moving to Hunter, while this card really isn't played in any particular deck right now, it is a card that comes a lot from the Alexstrasza, the Highlander card. And the Alexstrasza being able to generate an Emrys and then playing Emrys and then, you know, doubling the attack and HP of every card in your hand is pretty insane, right? So Alexstrasza is actually going to be taking a hit here because Emrys is going to be out of the pool of cards that she can generate. And this is one of those super swingy cards that can come from Alexstrasza. So meanwhile, again, not really played a ton. It's still randomly generated quite often. Rattrap. Very good Hunter secret, one of the more annoying ones to play around because only playing 2 cards a turn is pretty detrimental for tempo and really annoying. And if you happen to play more than, of course, 2, the opponent gets a rat, and it's hard to deal with that rat. And as we know, Hunter loves to go face, and leaving up a 6/6 rat on your opponent's side is pretty insane. So this is one of the better Hunter secrets right now. Really hard to sort of like play around and kill the rat efficiently. So definitely worth mentioning there. Next one's going to be Lord Joffrey. This was it was a staple in almost every Warlock deck, whether you were playing Cube Lock, Control Lock, Hand Lock. It has a very similar effect to Defile, for those of you who remember that back in the day, and that was a very good card, very high skill cap card, allowed you to get out of situations normally you weren't going to get out of, right? So Lord Joffrey leaving is kind of sad because, again, it has a really cool ability. He's a great field clear, and some even prefer him over Twisting Nether because he's a minion and a body, and he can, you know, he just deals with death rattles if you proc him right. So Lord Joffrey leaving is definitely a hit to any of you who really enjoy Warlock and like that control-esque format. Moving to Warrior, we have Warpath. So this is a big hitter. I love playing Warrior. Warpath, is my opinion, was it was a super fun Warrior card for me because you can use it on your minions with them taking damage, like Frothing Berserker and Alkalite of Pain. You could clear up your opponent's minions and they have death rattles. You proc that and then you kill it from there. It worked really well with Plagues. It worked well with Execute. So, I mean, it was just a really solid Warrior card in my opinion, and it's going to be a shame to lose it because it's one of their best AoE early games and late games because, again, it had Echo. Moving to Town Crier, another Warrior card we got here. Drawing a rush minion from your deck. As we know, Restless Mummy is the card that this is most likely going to pull along with Ziliax. So this is a really solid Warrior card that they play turn 1, and then they get that rush minion, which they tempo out or kill something that you play later. This also works with if you're playing Invoke Warrior. It works with the Dragon that summons 2 copies of himself. So that's also a really good rush card that this guy can grab. So this is has been a staple in Warrior basically ever since he's been printed because you run the rush cards, it draws into him, and he's a 1 mana 1/2 stat wise, pretty good for a 1-drop, and the draw is just insane. So Warrior's taking a little bit of a hit in the early game, and they're actually losing a bit of their draw, which is really good draw because it guarantees you, like I said, that rush. Moving to Rogue, we have Tess. So meanwhile, this isn't really a card that's played a ton right now. It stood out to me because it's a really fun card. A lot of you guys have a wonderful time playing random rogue. You know, the ability of this card is replay every card from another class you played this game, so it's a very value-oriented thing. Back in the day, we'd see like Tess, and then they togwaggle scheme Tess or Shadow Step it to get the ability twice. Not the most popular right now, but a card that stuck out to me that was definitely worthy of mentioning because they've been pushing the random rogue archetype for a long time, and this was one of the cards that kind of like definitely fit that category. Moving to Mage, we have Book of Specters. Right now, it's played a ton in Highlander Mage, and it's draw 3 cards to discard any spells drawn. As we know, Mage, they do run a decent amount of spells, but the fact that most of the time you're going to draw about 2 minions because Highlander Mage does play a lot of minions, maybe even more so than spells. It's just a solid draw mechanic. Arcane Intellect's been a thing for Mage for a long time, but Book of Specters has also been something a lot of the Mage players really like, and I definitely thought it was worth mentioning because it's almost an auto-include for a lot of you who play Highlander Mage. Moving to a neutral card, we have Life Drinker. I figured I wanted to throw in a neutral because this is a card that a lot of decks, control decks, mid-range decks, tempo decks, they play this card because it's just good. It's a 4-mana 3/3. It does 3 damage and it heals you for 3. It's a decently statted minion and it combos with any sort of battle cry effect. A lot of people are using this in combination with Sharks and Quest Shaman, and overall really solid card, and helps the decks that really don't have healing. And then our last card, probably the best card that's rotating. It's an insane druid legendary. Some of you may not even thought about this. Duskfall. This card is absolutely insane. I can't believe that we're losing such a gem to Wild, but unfortunately this card in all of its glory is going to be leaving us, and I don't know what Druid's gonna do without it. So yeah, if I happen to miss out on anything here, guys, I didn't hit on something you thought I should have, I'm interested to hear your comments in the section below, because it was really hard to actually pick out Witchwood cards that I thought were the best and stuck out, because this set didn't bring a lot. Out of 135 new cards, I covered, what, 10-ish cards? And that was like, I was stretching like Tess in there and fucking Emerus just to kind of like, you know, throw in things that, you know, are popular but not popular because they're actually played but randomly generated. So I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. And with that, we're going to be moving on to Boomsday and Rastakhan's Rumble next. So I'll catch you in those videos, guys. Thank you for watching. I'm Robert Warshak, of course, and happy whatever the hell day it is.